Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Thursday as we get set for the next round of rain and for areas well north and west of the coast. It's going to be wet snow and sleet, and in some places I think it could be pretty heavy. In the meantime, this morning, we've got temperatures in the 40s. When we go up further north, the temperatures are in the 30s to around 40. This is the time of year where daytime temperatures are going to move up if there's any kind of sun at all. Even though the air is technically cold, especially aloft, at the ground level, it does warm up rather quickly, even in the coldest of air masses. And we've got some precipitation that's actually showing up on the radars in northwestern Pennsylvania. Most of this is rain, and we've got rain back into parts of southern Michigan, and I'll just move it over for you, and you can see that it extends across Michigan, parts of Ohio, western Ohio into Indiana, and then we come back to the twist in the radar echoes that you can see here. This is the upper air support with this storm system, and there's also rain back up through parts of Wisconsin, and that extends eastward. So it's a fairly large area of rain with embedded heavier rains. You can see where the reddish areas of the radar echoes, the higher tops. Some heavy rains moving across Lake Erie at the moment. Might even be some lightning and thunder with that. I'm not sure what the tops are for sure. And we've got these heavier echoes going back into Michigan and also, again, back over into parts of Indiana and Illinois. Also, with respect to where snow is going to be an issue, and this is going to be terrific for skiers looking for a late ski weekend. You might want to run up there for Saturday and Sunday. We have winter storm watches still up for much of Massachusetts except for the southern half and along the coast. And we also have watches up for New Hampshire, Vermont, southwestern Maine away from the coast. And we already have seen winter storm warnings go up for areas up in central Vermont. And up in northeast New York, we have some watches up with the warning areas. I think the warning areas have gone up for the obvious spots, which are going to be elevation driven. And a lot of this is going to be elevation driven. So I think, basically from the Mass Pike northward is where I think you're going to see some problematic wet snows that are going to cause issues. So let's see how this plays out on the satellite loop this morning. And you still got that ocean gale that's moving away to the northeast now. And here comes the system out of the Central Plains. See that twist right in here? That's the upper air low that's supporting all this. So that's a nice little feature that's moving along. And we've got some looks like some severe weather breaking out across Louisiana and southern Mississippi down into the Gulf of Mexico, which we'll look at in just a second. And out in the west, and I'm going to make sure that we look at both coasts because I know a lot of you from the west are watching too. There's our storm that's coming out of the Central Plains, out of Kansas and Missouri. Here comes the next weather system that's moved into the Pacific Northwest behind it. Looks like weather conditions are improving somewhat there today. Not bad in the southwest, and most of California looks pretty good. And you can see the next one is right behind it. So it's this train of systems that are just kind of moving along one after another. It's a very dynamic and a very active pattern indeed that we're witnessing. Now, we'll go back to the radar, and there's a cluster of heavy rains and thunderstorms moving across southeastern Louisiana into southern Mississippi. And there you see it here. And that was reflected, again, when we looked at the satellite loop. You can see here, right in there, they kind of blew up. They're in the process of blowing up here during the morning hours. So there'll probably be some severe weather around this afternoon into this evening across the central Gulf states from southeast Louisiana eastward. And there you see it. It's very impressive here on the southern end. A lot of good tropical moisture inflow. Some cold air coming in behind it. It's a fairly strong cold front that's sweeping across. So you have all the ingredients there for the severe weather that's being shown. And when let's go out to the west, and we can take a look at what's going on there. So we've got some precipitation across parts of Nevada, rain and snow down into Idaho, northern Utah, a little patch up in Montana. This system doesn't look all that strong now that it's come inland to the Pacific Northwest. Just some scattered showers there, some scattered showers in northeastern California, and that just about does it. So let's look at what the models are doing. And one of the things I want to show you before we go to the whole country. We're going to start in the east, but I want to show you, there's been a particular problem, and this is a throwback to a weather event. I believe it was back in January that we had, where it was marginal cold air at best, and we had an issue of models overstating to a large degree the amount of snowfall and the southern flank, the southern extent of that accumulating snow. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, this is snow and sleet combined, and it's also based on a 10-to-1 ratio. I think the ratios here are going to be much lower than 10-to-1. They may be on the order of 7-to-1 or 6-to-1 or maybe even 5-to-1 in some places. So, I think these mounts are overdone, but could be some odd spots that wind up with a foot of snow out of this up in from central Massachusetts northward, especially in elevated areas? Sure. I'm not really that confident of how the GFS has, this 25-inch amount that might be on some mountaintop in the Catskills, perhaps. I don't know. I'm a little suspect of all of these things. And honestly, these snowfall maps as forecasting tools are not very good at all, especially in situations like this. Now look at the NAM today for just as an example. I mean, it's producing 2-foot plus amounts in northeastern Massachusetts, also up the Hudson Valley, and look how far south it has accumulating snow. I mean, it has 6-inch plus amounts into northwest New Jersey and south of Route 84 in Connecticut. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. I think the Weather Service has the right idea where it has the winter storm watches up. I really think that the main threat area is going to be well to the north of Route 84. Could there be some sleet and snow mixed in areas around Route 84 and maybe into northern Connecticut? Yeah, and there might even be some accumulation, especially in elevated areas in northern Connecticut on the order of a few inches. But I think the heavy snows are going to be further north. And for down further south, where the bulk of the population is going to be down in southeastern New York, New Jersey, Long Island, eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey. All of this is rain, okay? And it's going to be a decent amount of rain as well. So let's look at how much rain is going to fall out of this. Well, the NAM has some 2 to 3 inch amounts here from southeastern Pennsylvania through central New Jersey, parts of eastern Long Island, 1 to 2 inches. For some reason, the NAM really goes crazy with some 4-inch liquid amounts in northeastern Massachusetts, so that probably accounts for why it has that maximum snowfall there. Again, I don't believe that number. And also up the Hudson Valley, up around the Albany area, it has a concentration of 2 to 3 inch rains. I thought the Canadian model last night kind of had the best idea here in terms of its liquid precipitation. And, again, there's some 2 to 3 inch amounts, 2 to 2 inch plus amounts up as you get into the colder air into Massachusetts and southern Vermont and southwestern New Hampshire. And by the way, there will be some localized flooding in this area with the rain tomorrow and tomorrow night. The usual suspect spots will probably see some flooding. So just prepare for that if you're out and about. And when we look at the Canadian snowfall map, you know what? Cut these amounts down a bit. The southern flank of this is sleet. I don't think it means anything. And where it has 6 inches plus along the Connecticut-Massachusetts border, that might be on the order of 2 to 3 inches. If you're familiar with this area, we're talking about basically well north of Route 84. Okay, so I think that's where the drivers are going to be here. Now, the upper air pattern continues to be something that I know snow lovers were wishing that this could have been the case during January and February. We've got, there's a This is at the beginning of this week. So that block that was up there breaks down. But we have, as we've been saying for the last number of days now, this kind of unrelenting flow from the Pacific that just is a parade of storms, one after another after another. And then you have this, split jet that's up in Canada that has been bringing down these cooler or colder air masses where the borderline of the cold air moves into the northeast and into northern portions of the mid-Atlantic states. So that's keeping things very, chilly at the very least. And this is, for the coastal areas, this is going to be a miserable cold rain with temperatures probably in the upper 30s at best, or near 40. Now, as we move along into next week and beyond, it's more of the same. There's a tendency for higher than normal pressures to be up toward the polar regions, which is displacing the jet stream further south. So you can see that it's just one system after another. This raging Pacific jet is going to this raging Pacific jet just seems unrelenting. Now, if you're looking for any kind of warm weather in the east, I don't think, you're going to have the odd day here and there when we're in between weather systems, depending on the setup, that it could certainly go into the 60s. It's almost automatic this time of year that if you have an average air mass and sunshine, temperatures are going to go up into the 60s. And I think you're going to see these odd days here and there. But as long as you keep getting these weather systems coming in one after another, and this goes right through on the Canadian model, at least, which is what I'm showing you. This is through the 10-day period, very active and actually somewhat cold here as we move into April 10th. I'm going to back up. I want to go back to the GFS. And by the way, this has consequences for the West and for the Rockies because all these systems in the Pacific jet keep moving along. So it brings chances for rain in parts of the central Rockies, which have been in a really horrible dry spell for so long. It's more than just a dry spell. It is a drought. And there you have, on the GFS, the same idea here. It's storm system after storm system in the upper air that just parades right along. And notice to the north, just notice to the north that we've got this big building ridge up near Greenland, so it really just keeps the jet stream forced way to the south. It's going to be very hard to have a warm-up of any consequence lasting more than a day or so in a pattern like this. And there you have it, moving out to April 12th, if you want to, again, now we're getting into the land of squirreliness, but, we do want to look at this sort of stuff. Still has, troughing to the east and these, this Pacific flow continuing. It's very, very dynamic. Again, if this were the middle of January or February, or even in the early part of March, probably started to see the beginnings of this pattern in early March. But if this pattern had just been a few weeks earlier, right now all of these storms would have been important snowstorms for much of the Midwest and Northeast. So, timing always is everything. And, somebody pointed out that it seems every spring this sort of thing happens. Actually, it probably does to some degree, where we get into these last-minute fights between winter and spring. Now, here's the surface map. And you can see low pressure in the east, and you can see a new low that's coming into the Colorado Rockies that's going down into the southwest. And here's our low with the soaking rain at the Saturday morning before it pulls out. Now, the GFS is a little colder than the other models. Again, I'm not so sure if that's going to be correct or not. Now, I want to point out, by the way, for folks in the Gulf Coast, Louisiana, East Texas, into Mississippi and Alabama, with this next system that's coming out of the Rockies late in the week and early next week, developing a low down in southern Louisiana here and moving up into southern Mississippi. I think there could be some very heavy rainfalls out of this on the order of 4, 5, 6 inches or more. I would not be at all surprised. There's a lot of good dynamics here, very good tropical inflow coming in. There's a very strong impulse in the upper layers of the atmosphere. This is going to be with the next weather system coming into the eastern states. So, this area in here is going to need to watch for the possibility of some serious flooding and severe weather going into early next week. And that extends, by the way, into Alabama and eventually into Georgia and North Florida. This is all going to be part of the next weather system that comes to the east. Notice another system here. Now we're into Tuesday of next week, dropping into the central Rockies and in North Texas. So that could bring some rain and snow there, and some snow into Colorado, which would be great. Here's our low, the next low for early next week. That's going to bring more rain into the Northeast. This time around, there won't be much cold air. Now, once that low pulls out behind it, next Wednesday might be the odd day where temperatures are going to get into the 60s, but that is ahead of this next system that's moving up. Now, the model has that going up toward the Great Lakes with a cold front heading to the coast on Thursday, and then it moves off. And then you also can see now there's a lot of action coming into the Pacific Northwest as we move into the latter part of next week and next weekend. Very, very active pattern all the way around. And no sign of it breaking down anytime soon. Certainly for areas that were going through long dry spells that went for almost a year and a half in parts of the Northeast, that has now pretty much flipped to the other end of the other extreme, and we're getting these rainfall events every couple of days. I honestly think the drought has continued to ease, and will continue to ease till it will be virtually eliminated in most areas by the time we get through this month, the way the upper air pattern has been looking. So once again, just to review with respect to what's going on in the Northeast, there are your winter storm watches and warnings that are up so far. We also have some winter weather advisories as you go further north, and I expect these areas to go to a warning of some sort later today for Friday and Saturday. We might see advisories extended further south down into northern Connecticut and into the middle part of the Hudson Valley, and perhaps down into the Catskills and into the area down to near I-90. We'll see how that plays. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Latest web posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Also check out Angry Ben on nycweathernow.com. You can download my app and subscribe to my forecasts. They're just 99 cents for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Hudson Valley, Eastern Pennsylvania, and of course Connecticut. And the link comes up right at the top if you're interested. It's only $1 a month. The app is free. And thank you if you've lasted this long on my YouTube video. Subscribe if you would to my YouTube channel, which of course is absolutely free. Just hit the little red subscribe button on my YouTube channel page, and you'll get notifications every time a new video comes up, which is usually once a day. All right, everybody, have a great Thursday and be safe, and we'll talk to you on Friday.